Storm here. Today I'm bringing you the first in the Necromancer crafting series. I have no idea how many videos will be in the series, or if there even will be another. We'll see how helpful people find this video. What brought this video on is that I had some people asking about the crafter method for the scepter that I used in the Protosynthete video and that I posted in its POV, so I figured it is a good project to share. I will warn you, however, that the process can be potentially completed as quickly as 5 div, or it can cost you 100 plus to complete. Just be aware that there is massive variance in this process. While searching for the best method to make the scepter that would fulfill my requirements, I went through many avenues. I talked to some TFT crafters, searched all over YouTube, and tried a few different methods. This was the method that I settled on, as being the cheapest after a lot of simulation and emulation on Craft of Exile. The first step is that you need to obtain a scepter, rune dagger, or wand with an item level of 83 or higher that has the enchant can have one additional crafted modifier. You can get this enchant through trading for it, using tempering orbs, which can be obtained through heist, or as drops from blueprints as the final reward from bunker, records office, or the mansion grand heists. The process should be largely the same with wands, daggers, or scepters, but please make sure that you are not using a regular dagger, as they do not have caster mods as part of their pool of available modifiers. The next step is to get it to have the Shaper's influence. You can do this by using a Conqueror Orb on a rare version of the weapon, and then using the randomized influence types on an influence normal, magic, or rare item, harvest benchcraft. You will then repeat this until such time as you get the influence that you are looking for, which in our case would be a Shaper's influence. Step 2 is to isolate the Shaper mod. Socketed skills deal 40% more spell damage. You can do this through a number of methods, but the most consistent is likely just through alteration and augmentation spam. This should take on average around 220 attempts, although RNG will vary greatly. At this stage, you can take one of two routes. You can either Beast Imprint the weapon with a Krakic Chimeral, and then Regal, or you can just use a Regal Orb. Once you've done so, you then need to isolate the prefix that you rolled for, so that it is the only prefix. If after your Regal Orb you end up with two prefixes, you can attempt to salvage it with an Orb of Annulment. This is where the Beast Imprint can be quite helpful. However, if the 40% more spell damage mod is your only prefix, you can craft prefixes cannot be changed, a mana modifier, and then scour the weapon. As it will maintain two prefixes, it will stay rare without risking the loss of the 40% more spell damage modifier. At this point, you should have a rare weapon with a single modifier. Socketed skills deal 40% more spell damage. Now, you craft a cannot roll attack modifiers and cannot roll caster modifiers. Now you simply exalt orb the item until the prefixes are full. If you hit a support gem that you're happy with, either a specific penetration that works with your build, or elemental focus, ensure that there is a empty prefix slot and move to the next step. However, if you have not hit the prefix that you are looking for, you will now be using orbs of annulment to remove the added prefixes. Never use an orb of annulment unless you have the cannot roll caster mods modifier. Again, do not annul without the cannot roll caster mods craft. The reason for this is that by having that modifier, it prevents orbs of annulment from removing your 40% more spell damage mod. You simply would repeat the process listed previously until such time as you do get the prefix that you want. If you end up in a situation where you do have the prefix that you want, along with another mod, the only way to salvage it from this point would be an Orb of Annulment along with the Cannot Roll Caster mods craft. In doing so, you will have roughly a 33% chance to remove the modifier that you do not want on the weapon. Now, we move on to suffixes. The process for this step is very similar to the first step. However, instead of cannot roll attack modifiers and cannot roll caster modifiers, you will be rolling prefixes cannot be changed and suffixes cannot be changed. You will do a reforge for the relevant stat that you want. For a Necromancer crafting scepter, that would be a reforge for speed, as reforging for speed is what will enable you to get faster casting support. If you do not hit the faster casting support gem, you will use your bench to remove your crafted modifiers, and then craft prefixes cannot be changed. You will then scour the weapon. Make sure that you have prefixes cannot be changed before scouring, or you will have to restart the full process. Let's say you've managed to hit the faster casting support, but both of your suffixes are full. Now you would remove all crafted modifiers on the weapon, craft prefixes cannot be changed, and attempt to annul. That gives you roughly a 33% chance per annulment orb to give you another reforge. Once you have an empty suffix slot, you would then go and reforge critical, as this gives you a roughly 20% chance to hit the critical strikes support gem. At this point, it is just rinse and repeat until you manage to get a particular suffix set that you are happy with. Once you have the prefixes done and the suffixes done, you remove all crafted modifiers on the weapon. You would then craft +2 to support gems as a suffix, and the 15% minion attack and or cast speed suffix as your second craft. Congratulations, you have now completed your Squire caster weapon. For some common questions, one would be, why do I need the extra craft enchant? Without the enchant, the entire process listed in this video does not work, and you end up needing a different method, most commonly involving Hinakora's locks, which increase the cost exponentially. I am not familiar with this method. Number 2, why do I reforge speed first? The reason for this is that there is one acceptable speed modifier, whereas there are 2 acceptable critical modifiers. This means that your chances are quite obviously double to go with the crit as the second reforge, which, given it's the more expensive step, is the safer option to go with. And that's it for this crafting guide. Hopefully you didn't find it overly complex or frustrating. I hope that I was able to reduce it into a way that is usable by both more advanced crafters as well as more simple crafters who might just be getting started on their first big craft. But either way, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, or feel free to join the Discord and let me know on there. Anyway, that's it for today. We'll see you later with a off-meta Spectre spotlight later.